Life be like a podcast, we gon' talk about it, yeah, we get it poppin'. Every Wednesday it be essential, we are the only options. Who they trust with their topics, even if it is toxic. Life be like a podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it. We gon' talk about it. We gon' talk about it. Life be like a podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it.
Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Life Be Life podcast. Back up on the scene, I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J. We back in the building like we ain't never left. You already know what it is. Bro, flex that merch for the one time, Yeah.
Hold on. I'm a little thirsty. Let me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little thirsty here. You know, what's cracking with it though, man?
Man, I can't call it. It's season 5. We back. We here. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm excited. It's a new year. You know what I'm saying? 2025. We in here, man. It's a blessing to be on this side of the fence. Definitely a blessing to see another day, man. And man, starting the car, man. It's time to ride.
Hey, shout out to the Eagles, man. Hey, won the NFC East again this year. Hitting these playoffs for Green Bay. Jalen Hurts returned back to practice today. So, all right, we're going to at least see somebody in the divisional. So, you know what I'm saying? I hope they're ready for it, man. So, kicking off this year, man, it's season 5. We steady going strong. We got people from the community reaching out. Shout out to Zeus Rebel Waters.
Yeah.
St. Louis, we know him as Rucker Puff. He invited us to the All-Star Jam coming up in April. Who knows, man? Somebody just might hit the court. So, you know, hey, be on the lookout.
Hey.
We just got things going on. And don't forget, y'all, we are here for the community as well. So the thing is that as we bring up topics, we want to make sure that we're bringing you the right thing. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the right thing, the things that you want to hear. We want to support these local artists. But the thing is, hey, we're going to be here.
Yeah, facts.
We trying to incorporate you. You know
True.
what I'm saying? So, you know, how you hit us is scrolling down the bottom, man. Hit us up, you know, on every platform. To the live folks, man. Shout out. Bro, what's your 2025 looking like, man?
Oh man, nothing but peace and blessings. You hear me? But man, as far as what we doing on the podcast, bro, like I feel like we turned in the corner. You know what I'm saying? I think season 4 for us, you know what I mean? We got cameras up and running. We had theme song. We took a nice leap forward. I feel like now season 5. Lifers, we got some topics. We have tapped in. We have called this person, talked to that person, heard about this. It's getting ready to get crazy. Starting with tonight, bro. And, you know, y'all know how we do. Of course, we're going to get all the disclosures and all that good stuff out the way. But I'm excited. I don't even want to take too much longer to get into it. This is something, man, that everybody is dealing with this time of the year. So, bro, let's do what we do, man. Get this thing jumping, and we about to be back.
Let's get it.
Producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself. The views and opinions expressed on the Life Be Life podcast are solely those of the artists, producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself.
Have you ever been in a situation and needed to be a little bit of emotional but just couldn't seem to tap in? Possibly needed to back your way out of a lie and show them that you're telling the truth by crying? Well, have no fears. Cry No More is here, made from real baby tears. The organic, all-natural substance you'll take once a day, and it'll produce tears on the spot. It'll get those tear ducts flowing. May cause side effects including internal bleeding, diarrhea, hemorrhaging of the belly button, eyelash removal, hair removal, back fat removal, toes falling off, and also bad breath. Cry no more. Real organic tears. Never be stranded again.
All right, man. We back up in this joint for the
Absolute.
one time.
Yeah.
Life taking over for the 05. You hear me?
Ah.
25.
Man, right, for that quarter piece. So
Yeah.
man, this time of the year, especially more than ever, there's so many people that are dealing with trauma, dealing with grief. Life just starts to weigh a little bit heavier on people's shoulders. Significant events, timelines, all become to play in a part of everything. So the one thing that really ties us all together, bro, from really just a globe, a people, a true people, humans. Somebody might be born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Somebody's like, oh, you didn't have it like me. Oh, you had this and that. We can do all of that, but everybody will experience grief at some point. So what we gonna really jump into, man, is the whole aspect of grief. What is it? How do you heal? Man, there's some people that they can't even recognize what it is. And then, maybe even a touch of humanity. We are transparent. Maybe we might, throw a little something in there. But grief is, I'm gonna say this, because it was a question I asked myself, what is grief? And I asked that to myself because I recognize I have a hard time really grieving. You know what I mean? I don't, well, I know why, and I won't get into it right now, but what is grief, right? So from a true definition, it's the anguish experienced after a significant loss, usually the death of a loved one. Grief often includes psychological distress, separation anxiety, confusion, yearning, obsessive dwelling on the past, and apprehension about the future. And I read that because there's some things that I'll tie into that. But grief, as we all know, bro, man, like it can really manifest itself in so many different ways. Physical, emotional, behavioral, right? You never really know which one a person will exhibit until grief hits, and everybody won't be the same. And it's even been professionally found that there are between 5 to 7 diagnosed stages of grief. Those stages are: you have denial, you have anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, hope, and processing. And so in the midst of some of the things that I've went through as of late, I started to journal. And in my journal, I realized that grief, as we said it, the 5 to 7 stages, there is no true order to them. And so meaning, let's just say it's a loved one and we lose them. The first stage might not be necessarily sadness. The very first stage for somebody might be anger, or it might be denial. You know what I mean? It might be processing and then. So there is no true order to these stages, and neither does it mean that once you experience a stage that you can't necessarily revert back to it. Example, I'm angry in this stage. Then I start to process it. Then I accept it. That doesn't mean that tomorrow I can't be back in my angry stage, or just keep bouncing from the process. So everybody has that different. It doesn't mean that you can slip back or that you can't. Grief truly impacts everybody differently. So I would almost say they statistically say 5 to 7, bro. But I throw in the 8th one, and this is just me. This is just D to the J. Y'all heard the disclosure, so don't hold me to it. But I attribute another stage of grief to be what I call survivor's remorse. Survivor's remorse is maybe it's a situation to where, you know, there was a bad accident. Everybody lost their life except for you. Everybody on the job that had been hired in the last year were let go seasonal wise, but you weren't. There, you know, so survivor's remorse, and that, even though it sounds like, but you still had the upper hand, you gained. But there's a grief that's attached to it because the death of a loved one is just one phase, but there's other psychological effects and so on and so forth. So, bro, what's your thoughts, man, as far as like the stages of grief? Do you feel like that's spot on? Is it something that, you know, left out? Like, what would you add to it, take away? Like, what you feeling?
I really, you know, said that was literally going through my head was survivor's remorse.
Okay.
Because we get to a point and we feel like that, am I so much better than them that, you know what I'm saying, I'm still here and they're not?
Right.
I think another aspect, you know what I'm saying, of all those stages is kind of seeking inward.
Okay.
Because even through all these stages, you know what I'm saying, you get to a point where you yourself have to carry on. And you start to look within. But the crazy thing is, man, when you start to look within, that's where the tussle began. Because when you're looking within, you're going through the different stages, the anger.
Yeah.
You start to reminisce, you know, the
Yeah.
good times, you know, the laughter, specific incidents.
Yeah.
And I just really feel like, man, at the end of the day, it's just the overall trip. Like you said earlier, no two people are going to deal with it the same.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man. It's really hard, and that's why we're talking about this topic today, because I'm seeing losses.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, you know, coworkers. I'm seeing, you know, ex-customers. I'm seeing, you know, friends, family members leave here, and kind of what prompted this conversation. Like you, bro. I don't really put a lot of private stuff out there on Facebook. It's mostly just, you know, for giggles, for laughs,
Yeah.
share this, share that. You know, maybe a deep moment here and there when you on the plane. I mean, it just, you know, depends on what's what. But I noticed last month, man, when we were on hiatus,
Uh-huh.
um, a couple of brothers, man, who I know like keep a lot of their stuff to themselves, um, wrote like a long post on Facebook, and I noticed I had did one. I think you had put something out there. Guy named David put something out there. Another guy named Anthony put something out there.
Yeah.
And I know y'all brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like I know y'all. I know who y'all are. You know, I know y'all families. And when I seen that, it really did something to me, because it's like, yo, what if? And I know, you know, we're gonna back this up shortly, but what if you was not around in 2016
Yeah.
to constantly check on me? And we'll get into a little bit of that earlier. So I just said to myself, man, like, yo, first, let's check on these brothers. Secondly, it's a topic, man, because
Yeah. True.
people are reaching their limits. Because the thing is, I had to adjust myself, because here we go. The thing is that especially as a black man, um, in this place we call the United States, especially in St. Louis, we talked about it a number of shows ago, man, to where we're supposed to be built for it tough
Yeah.
from the time we learn to walk.
Yeah.
You fall down and, you know, say you scrape your knee, scrape your elbow, get on up, shake it off. You know what I'm saying? Don't cry,
Yeah.
man, don't cry.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
They try to Donnie McClurkin us, bro.
yeah,
Every time
we fall
you
down,
can
but
jab
get
it
up.
up. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
So the thing is that as a married man, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I believe, and I'm not taking anything away from any married woman, single man, child, whatever. We're simply going to explain this thing from our point of view tonight. So, as a married man, when grief hits, now all of a sudden there's a trickle down effect. And if there's not a trickle down effect, you're sitting here holding the whale at bay.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know. Because the thing is, when you're married, as being the head of the household, uh, you pretty much set the tone in the house. You know what I'm saying? If you had a bad day at work, you come in slamming doors and kicking off shoes, and you know,
Yeah.
everybody go scatter because they're like, oh shoot, daddy had a bad day.
Yeah.
Let's let mama handle it, break the ice, and let's see what's gonna go from there. The whole time,
Yeah. Yeah.
as a man, number one, okay, if we gonna keep it a buck, and y'all know on life be life, man. If I can't give you a buck, I'm gonna give you 4 quarters, or I'm gonna give you 10 times. I almost lost one. I almost said 9, but I found
You seen it. You seen it on here.
it.
Yeah.
Here it is, man. As a man and as a father and as a husband, on your way to work every day, you know what I'm saying? You're already thinking about the wiles of the day, especially if you're in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, you already feel like that you don't supposed to be there.
Yeah. Facts.
So the things that are happening to you at the workplace, yes, they may be good things, but you see other people like, yo, I thought they was doing their thing, they gone. I thought they was doing their thing and they gone. So now you got to put on this persona while you're going through grief, first of all.
Yep.
Second of all, when you leave and work that night and you stop by a grocery store and have to get gas, you can't show it on your face if a teardrop or anything, because you don't know who's out there lurking.
Yep.
Next, when you come into the crib, Lord, please don't let one of these kids already messed up and my wife is already fussing, because now that's going to amplify what I am going through. So we come in the house and nothing else is going on. We are trying so hard not to transfer this to our wife.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we transfer it to the wife, she's going to transfer it to the kids. Now, all of a sudden, my whole house is in disarray. So what's the greater of the two evils?
Shut
Put
up.
the world on my shoulders.
Yep.
And a lot of times what that entails is it's a change. Whether or not we want to realize it, fellas, there's a change. You start to get quiet because now instead of just a general conversation, you're thinking of your words. So it's not a natural conversation, it's forced.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden that conversation is forced. And it's like, yo, why are you weird? But you try not to push that off on your mate, because if I'm down, check it out. We already talked about marriage is 100.
Yeah.
So this particular day, if I'm down 75, that means I only got 25 to give. Hey, the wife, you got to put in 175 today. Now, if I dump this on her and she can only put in 100, we are lacking and slacking. But when we're going through grief, it's more like it's more anger. It's sorrow and anger, and I can't really explain the feeling.
Yeah.
But y'all, we really as black men, any man, any woman, we're seeing too much explode out in the streets. And I'm getting ready to kick this back over, man, because I'm finna throw these comments up. But we're seeing grief overblow in the streets. People are blowing their top. And understand when you were going through, how many times have you punched a wall? But imagine if you had a pistol. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I thank God, man, that grief, as I was going through it, and this is just an example that as men, we gotta surround each other, man. If you gotta shed a tear, if you gotta get a hug, man, you gotta get a hug and shed that tear.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that's kept in, it could be something simple. Somebody cut you off in traffic, and now we started a whole new situation.
Yeah.
So, bro, man, I know that, like I say, as we are open books here on Life Be Life, and man, I know that, you know, um, we went through something, you know what I'm saying, towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna be, you know what I'm saying, kind of hard, man, but let's keep it a buck, man. How tell me, man, tell the lifers, how did you feel like going forward? And the thing about grief, there's no time limit.
Right.
I just want you to kind of put some
Yeah.
pointers out there, man, on how
Um,
you tried to go forward.
I had found myself having to play a whole lot, trying to persuade my mind. So in the midst of me playing, you know, if somebody asked that question, you say how, I would play and I would say, I've had some weary days, bro. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I felt this topic was so vital is because, you know, even going through what we've recently went through and having to cope with a new normal. You know, I told my sister this is different because now to look up, you know, as and you never dream of this day, right? So all the pictures that you take and everything that you go through, and you see 5, and you never think it's just gonna be only 2 of us left. And to be like, yo, like, I don't want to be alone, you know what I'm saying? So grief can rear its head in so many different ways, bro. And so, you know, you mentioned just, you know, a level of rage that can come out at any point in time. And that's why you got to be real careful just playing too much, playing with folks, because you don't know, to you, it was just a simple
Message.
something. Yeah, it was just a real simple little something. You know what I'm saying? But for that person, it was the last straw. It was the last, this is it. And so when I spoke about, you know, the professionally found 5 to 7 stages, the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, the acceptance, the hope, the processing. And I don't know if anybody's ever through, you know, we say bargaining. What does bargaining mean? Bargaining is literally when you struggling with this so tough that you are saying like God, if you can just change this, I'll give you 10 off of my life. You feel me?
Man,
Um, so you
man,
you're sometimes if it's a child, yo, take me, get him. So, and then the
boy.
anger, you know what I'm saying? Um, Depression kind of came and went, and I deal with that sometimes. And so the one thing that I recognized is in a split second, your brain can start to spiral. And lifers, I want y'all to really tap even next week, man. Set y'all alarms. Next week is going to be mental landmines. If this world were mines,
Man, yeah.
the mental battle, the mental, just a war. And so I realized I could be having a phenomenal day, right? And just as sure as I close my mouth on whatever those last words, just as fast as I open my mouth again, I feel it spiraling. And without getting too deep, it's almost like you can feel something right there on your shoulders. Because if you let yourself spiral deep enough, you'll get into almost like a point of, oh, I would almost call it like a spiritual emptiness. And at this spiritual emptiness, this is where whatever is on your shoulder, and again, we ain't going to get too deep with that, but y'all feel me, is able to talk to you and manipulate you to fully wild out.
Yeah.
And that's why, you have to be careful, because what some people are predestined to, the old them, might be a little different. And some people's level of crazy is just different. So one thing that I learned, man, is what not to do during the grieving process. Living in the past. Yes, there's going to be moments we're going to reflect. You know what I'm saying? We'll smile, we'll cry, we'll giggle, but we can't live in the past. And some people will literally shut their whole style down, be in a dark room hour after hour, just thinking about 20 years, 30 years, what ifs. I thought we would always be. So living in the past, refusing to take the necessary changes to move forward, right? Dwelling in self-pity. A big one. Some people lose respect for their own self or their own body. They don't care about hygiene no more. They don't care. They used to be dumb fly, well-groomed, and now you see them and it's like, I didn't even know that was them. They don't care. They're either hyper sexually now. They're just wilding, because the things that used to be meaningful to them is no more, right? So some people remain withdrawn, or they run away from their own feelings. And this is something big. And I had a family member not too long ago that was saying in the post, like, look, this is how I deal with it. I just withdraw myself. And I'm like, yo, that's not helping your grief. All you're doing is you're redeveloping a new version of you that has eliminated that hurt. So when you don't want to deal with it and you keep removing yourself, you basically are putting it in a closet, locking it away, and coming out that basement. And you think because you staying upstairs now 24/7, that for some odd reason what's in the basement ain't there no more. It's still there. You just choosing not to deal with it. But if you ever go down in that basement, which is why you don't want to go down there, because you know it's going to open up some old wounds. So separating yourself and just withdrawing doesn't necessarily it doesn't remove you from that. You're just recreating an almost like an altered version of who you used to be that now can cope with this phase, right? Don't rely on alcohol or drugs as a way to cope, even in the midst of darkness without grief. So don't rely on drugs and alcohol. You know, some of us just rely on alcohol anyway. Dead wrong. This is something we don't do. And then more importantly, man, because so many are thinking that if they don't address something, that's handling it, but in a way that indeed is self-sabotage. So, bro, with this particular grieving process, man, like, is there anything that you would say, you know what, I would or wouldn't do? Like, what is some of the things that you found in the midst of like just grieving in general that you like, yo, if I can't do this, because I'm gonna give you a trick before I turn it over. You want me to tell you how I get through, bro? I'm gonna tell you this. So check me out, bro. When my brain starts to get wicked, right? I throw on that gospel. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get my praise up real quick. Because I gotta bring all these thoughts under subjection real quick. You know what I'm saying? So usually it'll be Vashawn Mitchell's Turn It Around, right? Because that's when everything had happened, and when my sister passed, that actually was like the song that just kept, right? So boom, I kicked that off. Praises, I'm good. then we gotta get gangster a little bit, right? So then I'm gonna jump to some Mob Deep. Because you can't stay there for long, because then you go, so boom, now I'm on some Mob Deep, and then I'm gonna bring it back with one of the songs that we actually enjoyed together, MC Breed, Ain't No Future in Your Front, something like that. So what do you do when you know it's about to get dark? How do you bounce back?
Well, I think one of the main things is, bro, and I try to live by this to the best of my ability, but I really feel like that if there's a relationship with someone, um, that if they were to pass, that you're going to shed tears, you're going to have remorse over, but maybe a rift happened to where you guys fell out. I believe there's a conversation, saying that should be had, whether you guys make up, whatever the case may be. It's important to have that conversation. Small example. Um, as you guys know, I wasn't raised by my biological mom from the
Mhm.
age of 3 months. And when I entered ministry years ago, in another life, um, I reached out to her before I preached my first sermon. And, I reached out to my biological mom and I just let her know, like, yo, where I'm going, I can't take this hate with me that I have for you. So I'm going to bury this hatchet today.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we best friends and I'm going to call you mama and none of that, but I love you nonetheless. So y'all understand this, that after I had that conversation with her, we talked about her seeing her grandkids. She passed like 6 to 8 months later. When she passed, I got the call because I'm the oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I got two blood brothers out here. You know what I'm saying? But right there, that dude right there, yeah. But I had to go up to KC, you know what I'm saying, and do all that. Understand that I feel like that if I had not have at least reached out on my own and just be like, yo, whether it was my bad, your bad, or bad, it don't matter at this point, because if you were to leave this earth today, I'm gonna shed a tear. And if
Yeah.
I shed a tear, that means I'm gonna go to a dark place.
Yeah.
So if I know this is gonna happen, let me go ahead and say I'm sorry. Right, wrong, or otherwise, because it's not how many battles that you fought and won. It's how many battles you didn't have to fight just by saying I'm sorry.
True story.
So, bro, well, I've had a couple of major losses, you know what I'm saying, in my life. My aunt, my biological mom, my mama who raised me, my wife's mom. And the thing is that we can say this now that we're not going through a storm, but I can say one of the most important times to gather yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you understand that the love that this person gave you, the love that they showed me, good times, bad times, otherwise, because you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But if I could take a fraction of this love that that person gave me and put it back into the world, if I could take a smidgen of light, of the light that that person carried with them, and put it back into the world, they never die. See, the thing is, what we don't talk about, I understand we talk about spirituality and, we have the wakes, we have the funerals, we go
Yeah.
to the burial. But the one thing that we never trip off of is energy.
Yeah.
Energy is constant, y'all.
Yeah. Don't dissipate.
That's just like when you walk into a room, be like, yo, the vibe is off. It's the energy.
Yeah.
During my preaching days, there was one thing that I found out and I stood on it. I understand that the flesh get weak, but it's something that I can stand on. So without getting too deep, and give me a minute. I'm gonna bring this home real quick. So understand, back in the days of King Arthur, where you had kings and queens, right?
Mm.
The king would send someone for them, and they would have the king's staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that wherever that person went with the king's staff, that the king was with them. Somebody go catch that in a minute.
Yeah.
So understand that as you're going through life and you're grieving and you're going through these different stages, but if you carry on that energy, that person never dies. Yes, the body may be gone, the soul
Yeah.
is with God, but that energy that they put on earth, it can't be extinguished. And I
Yeah.
believe that when those dark times come, the woulda, shoulda, couldas, hey, I understand it's easier said than done, is done. What made me happy? What made them happy?
Yeah.
What are our good times? Because y'all, grief will take a hold of you. And you remember back in the day when we didn't have dishwashers? We just soaked up all the dishes. The
Yeah.
rag is all soapy with Dawn. What we have to do?
Bring it out. Bring it out.
But check it out. And I'm going to toss it back to bro. Check it out. Because the rag was so soapy at first, once you wring it out, now it was all soap. You had to rinse that rag a couple of times
Yeah.
in order to get that water clear. So now you can wipe down the dishes. You feel me? So, man, bro, I just really feel like, man, that, we just got to remember who that person was, carry on that light.
Yeah. And it's important on the strength. You see it in movies. A lot of times you experience it in the household. Somebody, passes away or there's some type of loss. It could be a financial loss. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's like it's taboo. No, we don't talk about that. You see possibly the kids at the dinner table trying to have the conversation with their dad, about mom, and he keeps getting mad. And so it's almost like it's a tradition that you don't speak on them. But in actuality, what I feel is that dims they lighten who they were. You feel me? Like, if I don't talk about you, what my brain tells me is, were you really that much of a big deal?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, I the everybody goes through, grief. Everybody is lost something. Unfortunately, some people have lost both their parents or a spouse, children, the entire household. There's just so many different ways that grief has torn things about. And it's not even just always through death.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that there's people that have lost their mind literally because the financial status they had held down and thought was just etched in stone has changed. And who they were is no more. Even if we go back 2 seasons, bro, and we interviewed Teresa Johnson, former WNBA player, and she talked about that mental health when you no longer are able to do what you have been designed and purposed in doing all your life. Now, what do you do? Because you don't feel, of have any worth or value. You feel less than. You feel so many different things. So keep in mind, grief. When we think grief, we latch it to death, and that's a lot of times the highest form. But understand that, like a tree has roots, death is a lot of times just a visible portion of that grief tree, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot of those other things. So even if we say it's a financial loss and you lose your mind and you lose your self-worth and you choose to take your own life, we look at the death, but it started from a different version of grief, another root. So
I think, man, that and I'm so glad you hit that on the head, because a few years ago we was in Miami,
Yeah.
right? Trip was playing. You know what I'm saying? You had, you know what I'm saying, took her everything. Me being your brother, you know what I'm saying? He was like, all right, you know, I agree.
Yeah.
So of course, you know what I'm saying? You know I was gonna get you right. And
Yeah.
and I'm being transparent here, y'all. So y'all gotta understand what I'm saying, because he just brought up the example and I'm really with it. I was waiting on it. So we get to Miami, you know what I'm saying? The first day, everything is great. We doing our thing. We
Yeah.
wake up the next day in Miami. I got a situation.
Hurt.
Somebody who I owed some ducats to decided to, you know what I'm saying,
Today you
put some
suckers is
ducats in the
gonna kick
trunk.
in. Rinse you. Today's the day
Man,
y'all kick in.
hey, and drove smooth out. I'm
Man.
looking at my bank account like, yo,
Yeah.
because I had just got paid
Yeah.
in Miami. I'm like, yo. So
Yeah.
my brother's right here. He can attest to it. My whole attitude changed. I was stricken with grief for the simple fact, hey, I got my wife out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be living it up. I'm worried about my brother because I understand he has a family too. He took care of everything, and I'm supposed to be trying to, you know what I'm saying? I was get ready to shell that back, and I
Yeah.
don't have it no more, which on the other end of the fence, he put me in a hole. So that evening or that morning, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, I'm not doing nothing. I'm staying in. Y'all go do y'all thing. I'm chilling. And he said to me, he was like, yo, the money is already spent. We here.
Yeah.
I know you got me. I know you got me. And you know what I'm saying? Whenever it is, because I know you got to get back on your feet, but I know, you know what I'm saying? I know you got me.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that we are going through grief, one thing that we do forget is our problem solving ability.
Yep.
Or it's easy to say, yo, I understand it's easy to say right now that I'm not going through anything, but our
Yep.
problem solving can actually get us through a lot. So the thing is, man, at the end of the day, everybody gonna have to examine themselves accordingly. Everybody's gonna have to examine themselves while they're going through their situation and through their matter.
Mm-hmm.
I know hey, yo, we've been running, we've been chatting, all this. What we finna do, y'all? We finna take a pause for the calls, pay a couple of
Yep.
bills, and we gonna see where this thing finna take us. So if
Yeah.
you with it, we
They ain't
with it. We
gonna,
with it.
they locked in.
I'm gonna help him out till he come through those big facts. Show you what a young bull do to him. I done grew up around gangsters, murderers, cold-blooded assassins, asking what I claim based off my daily fashions. Boosted for some MJs, chased by a gang of essays, 40s to the face, doing 100 on the freeway. Been laughed at, talked about, lied on, slept on, thought I turned my back on God. Oh no, dead wrong. Mayday, mayday, a Taurus, I'm a bull, so stubborn and won't quit. Mama taught me a golden rule. My tongue and mine is a sword, prepared for the duel. No brakes, I'm all gas, the driving fuel. So what to do when the option just can't lose? And I'm past vex, and the obstacles is more than a few. Number one, remember you're born a champion. This title not up for debate, point blank, bar none. Two, know some things gon' change with this rule. Some people gon' change like the season do, his word is true. 3, never question the G-O-D. I expect the victory will be EPIC. Get it? 4, don't shy away from war. If they rush your door, pray till they land on the floor. It may hurt sometimes, cause that flesh is raw, but it's for my good, so trusting that the outcome is pure. I read up on more cups, the way them blessings gon' pour. Years later, my confidence in them is still secure. Demons pressed and came and asked your boy, is you sure? We done divvied up your kids and sent death to your door. Asked me, was I a glutton for punishment, wanting more? I said, remember my words and go back to rule 4. Bang till every hurt dies and eradicates. Pray and watch God delegate to all his magistrates. It's a spiritual Uber, I call them in they own they way.
This song goes out to everyone that's been in a struggle. No matter who you are or what it is that you're going through, know that God is right there with you. Just like you've been there for me. Lord, I thank you. Growing up in a home with no mama, dad, track, practice, football games, no one in the stands. My grandma and my aunt were the only family that I had. Giving up on my natural mom, tell you man, it was pretty sad. 3 months old, a baby boy destined to be doomed. Kept my feelings bottled up, through my pain I showed gloom. When I went to school, man, I didn't quite fit the mold. A chubby boy with nappy hair, people stares turned me cold. Since I was by myself, I always got picked on, labeled as a fool in school. I constantly got sent home. When I hit my teenage years, to the streets I started hanging, meeting girls, smoking, drinking, then started gang banging. Runnings with the police, my attitude, forget them. Friends dead in the street who thought they colors kept them. Even though I went to church, I didn't think that you were true. I hit that water, came up new. Lord, I gotta say thank you.
Lord, I thank you for sparing my life. Lord, you died on the cross and you gave me new life. Joy comes in the morning, weeping just for a night. I see the sunshine, I made it through my night. Lord, I thank you for sparing my life. Lord, you died on the cross and you gave me new life. Joy comes in the morning, weeping just for a night. I see the sunshine, I made it through my night.
At the age of 22, I'm back home in the loose. Survived the whole army thing, a suicide attempted to. Didn't voice to my family my pressing problems. Turn to gin and juice and weed, hoping they can solve them. A king with a clouded vision, acting like a peasant. Chasing after worldly things, would death be my present? Occupied with crazy thoughts, drowning in my own sin. Enemy came into control, tried to take me out again. Popping pills with chest pains, but the hurt was in my soul. Then my aunt passed away, I pray that heaven was a go. Failed marriage, stressful work, got me on a drinking binge. 4th floor, St. Mary's, suicide attempt again. Hurting on the inside, and my future seemed bleak. Then I heard the Lord say, it's my love you truly see. Since your day of birth, I had a very special plan for you. That's why I couldn't let you die. Lord, I gotta say thank you.
Lord, I thank you for sparing my life. Lord, you died on the cross and you gave me new life. Joy comes.
Man. Hey,
I ain't know we was
No.
getting, I ain't know we was going down memory lane with the lyrics, my boy. I heard you.
so I ran that real quick, man. Just because every time I hear that song, bro, it tugs on me.
Yeah.
Couple things, man, and I know it's 8:49. Hey, it's the season intro, man. We back in this joint, so of course we gonna go a few minutes over. So just bear with us.
Yeah.
I wrote that song, man, like, and I know you probably heard it last season. Um, I wrote that song like from the pit of my heart. A couple of suicide attempts, and you know what I'm saying, one in the military, one outside. Um, I was married before. A lot of y'all know this. And at this moment, you know what I'm saying, I'm headed into 19 years of marriage. And
Hallelujah.
it kind of makes you think. It makes you think, man, like
Yeah.
as we talk about grief, you know, there's a lot of things in my life that I've grieved over. My aunt that I mentioned in the song. So, you know, y'all know the story.
Yeah.
My great aunt was too old. My aunt said that she would be there. So she signed the papers too
Yeah.
for state. Let me tell y'all something about grief. Grief is watching your mama go in the grave and you never had the heart to tell her you tried to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Never even had the conversation because you knew it would have broke her heart. Grief is watching cats that you used to run with on the block when I was gang banging, coming back from the military, watching these cats catch felonies,
Yeah.
falling out with cats that I did dirt with. Grief. The thing is about grief, man, it passes. But it's important if you need the help to get the help that you need, because many of y'all don't know, as I mentioned in the song, that I was in St. Mary's, y'all. Suicide attempt.
Yeah.
Whole bottle of chest pills, chest pain pills, man. I didn't took them. Rushed from an ambulance from Ponderosa on West Florissant, you know what I'm saying, to St. Mary's over grief.
Yeah.
The thing is that as Black people, I'm gonna keep it a book. We don't want to get the help that we need because it seems taboo. Meanwhile, our Caucasian and other counterparts are getting that help from their therapists. Get you some help. If your job has ERP, get you some help. See, here's the thing. I may not have gotten help till years later because here's the catch. When you go through life and you don't tackle grief, grief will leave a trail of destruction behind you. And if you don't wise up and understand that you're leaving a trail of destruction behind you and get help, you're going to continue to leave a trail of destruction behind you, people.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough, man. It's crazy how grief will come about. You could be sound asleep and you will get woken up in the middle of the night, man, over grief.
Yeah.
My wife will tell you, when mom passed, I wasn't eating. She said I wasn't sleeping. I thought I was sleeping. She said I wasn't sleeping. I was jumping in my sleep when I did sleep, and I needed to get some help, and I did. Ain't nothing wrong with getting some help. Y'all understand that people in the church, they say, oh, God is supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, the wonderful counselor. I understand that. But you know what? In this realm, I need somebody that can help me.
Yeah. And he put people in place to do so and gave us the knowledge through him to do it. So he is doing what you need.
Yeah, man. And here's the thing, fellas. Whether we want to or we won't admit it, our wives know. And a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, they'll just carry on. But if we love them the way that we say that we love them, there's conversations that need to be had with them
Yeah.
when you're feeling in that space. Because whether or not we realize it or not, we've seen movies. A husband, mother, or father dies. The wife, mother, or father dies, and they push away their spouse.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the spouse ends up comes to save them from destruction.
Yep. They push their spouse away to cling on to grief.
Yo, grief, y'all, it will take you down. It will take you out. Whether it's a job, you can find another one. You may have loved that job. You'll get another one. It may be a house. It may be a car. It may be a friend. It may be a pair of all white forces.
Yeah.
But, yo, I'm saying go get the help that you need because hurt people are going to continue to hurt people. That pain and that loneliness that you feel, if you don't deal with it, you're going to pass it on to others. So that's my take, man. D to the J, man. What you got for me?
Yeah. So real quick points. We talked a lot about how to recognize grief, things like that. But we even talked about what not to do during grief. Real quick on what to do. And I call this the 3 C's to G, the grief. One, you need to choose what's truly best for you, not based on emotions, but truly pro and con on what you need. And this is where you're able to kind of analyze how to move forward. And I say sometimes maybe the best thing to do is to sell that house and to move on. So analyze truly what's best for you, pro and con, and bust that move. The next C is connect. You know, we often we cling to like-minded people. You know, we feel a sense of they get me, they understand me. You know what I'm saying? They lost too. You know, we're clingy. I'm gonna hang on around this person because they lost a child, so they can vibe with me, or I'm gonna cling to this person because they can't never seem to keep a good job, and it's always somebody doing something with them, so I'm gonna cling to them. But sometimes you need to connect to where people can help get you through what it is that you're in. So instead of linking up with folks that's right there in this hole with you, this muck and this mire, why don't you get with somebody that's already been through that? You feel me?
Yeah.
Get with folks that know what you're going through so they can help navigate. It's much easier for us to get around these big potholes in the street if it's somebody up the road saying, okay, in the next 100 feet, you're gonna get a little bit to the right. It's like a GPS, you feel me? This is grief GPS, bro. This is grief GPS. Communicate. A lot of times you would rather assume I'm referring to this person versus talking to somebody else. I would rather do this than this. Hey, communicating is going to prove to be very beneficial in your grief phase. People do understand what you're going through. People have been through it. And the reason why you need to address those particular things, because everybody doesn't know what grief is. Bro, there's a such thing as what's called masked grief. There's many a person that's operating in mass grief. And ideally, because you're like, what's that? A lot of people, what is that? Never heard of it. Mass grief breaks down like this, bro. It's when somebody tries to like suppress things, not deal with it, or they just gonna let it run its course. If I let it run through, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the bubble guts. You can't let this thing just run through. You feel me? This you can't put the pink bottle on this, bro. Grief can't flex with this. This hit different. But that's
Hey,
what
I got a question to ask, man. Where you at?
Man, I'm in the cut, B. You know what I'm saying?
Nah. Come on, man. I don't want to see my ugly mug all night.
It can't.
Hey, come on.
Listen, I'm going through reconstruction down here. Lifers, I apologize. The Light Be Life in studio literally is getting a whole makeover. My lighting is not. It ain't hitting. But look, so you got the mass grief, but then there's another aspect of it that's called black grief. And you stupid because I'm not talking about just us and what we go through. I mean, literally, there's something that's called black grief. And this occurs when a loss isn't even recognized or it's even seen as valid. So many hate the nighttime, bro, but they can't sleep, or their dreams, the war of the mind, you know, things of that sort. So black grief is just when we choose not to even recognize what really is going on with us. And so initially when the show first started, bro, I gave the attributes of what grief is. It is the anguish experienced after significant loss, usually the death of a beloved person. And so we know that we would say really if we had to give our own account. Yeah. But this is the part. Grief often includes psychological distress, separation anxiety, confusion, yearning, obsessive dwelling on the past, and apprehension about the future. So everybody that knows me knows my brain is just different. I'm a very weird cookie that crumbles so many different ways. And so when I began to learn about grief, what my brain said is, that sounds like something else that we preach, trauma. So then I began to look up the attributes of what trauma and what grief is. Grief, again, it'll say it's a natural response to the loss of a loved one, such as a friend, family member, or significant loss. It can involve intense sadness, shock, numbness, denial, or anger. It can take a year longer. The sense of like, there's just so many attributes of this thing. But is there an association with grief and trauma? Are they the same? Like, where does the separation of the two begin? And so grief is an emotional response to loss, bro, while the trauma is the psychological impact of it. And that's how they tie together. And so a lot of times when we're saying trauma and we know that we have trauma, it's attached to the emotional response, which is grief. And there's a lot of us that are grieving things that happened 30 years ago, and we've chose to just abandon it and walk away from it and not deal with it. You know what I'm saying? We just chose to sweep everything under the rug. bro, like have you ever been good, bro? And then all of a sudden you think, damn, it's like out of all the memories I got and all the things I thought, I never thought this yet. Here I am. Bro, I'm in a mental prison. My mind struggling to see the sunshine and even harder to apply my wisdom. God, is you listening? Because I only hears my voice and fears talking back, and I'm singing your praises to try to stay on track. I believe you're going to give increase to all the areas I lack, but if I'm going to keep it a beam, bro, hey, there's times I want to clap back, dig into that old knapsack of raw ignorance, negligence, and a heart that's jet black. My tears stain my face. I'm trying to fight that. Questioning scriptures, and I'm smiling with my head held high, knowing deep down inside, bro, I'm trying to get higher than that. Yeah, it's a real life power attack. I'm seeing so much change and so many dead and gone. I done went, bro, from being the youngest of 5 to seeing 3 go to the throne, and now it's only 2 of us left, and I'm talking to my sister Terry like, baby girl, I ain't trying to be alone. They looking at me like, yeah, D good, he can make it. D and Rock, he can make it. True, I done been here many a times, fam, but it ain't never faced this. It's like, bro, I remember I was the last one on the gravesite pacing, asking heaven for some sign, help, or a way that could tell me I can make it. And now, bro, I'm so traumatized that if my phone rings back to back more than 3 times, it's hard for me to breathe because I've been here before. And them phone calls say somebody left and ain't no replacements. So yeah, grief is real, bro. And this is why we talk about this, and we on this Life Be Life and podcast, man, doing something that I know it's for the greater good for somebody. A lot of times it's for me, because this be my mental therapy.
It's for me.
This be my mental therapy. You feel me? This honestly helped to reshape what I thought about therapy. Just talking. And so this is why I preach communication. And so a lot of people look at me now in life and say, well, Dad, how is it that now you get it? Now, look, it ain't the fact that you get it. It's that life done whooped you so much. If I keep going, reaching that way, I get my hand popped. I'm learning not to go that way no more.
Yeah,
I know what's there. But in the midst of all of this, man, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to close it. The grief that we all, when I say all, I mean every person that is able to hear this live and play it back. The level of grief that we all have experienced or unfortunately will experience. D to the J suggestion on how to get through these things. 1, life is so precious and time is so short. I mentioned last season that life is a gift, bro, that unfortunately everybody today was not afforded the opportunity to open. Some people ain't get to open that gift called life today. So we know that time is short. It don't matter if somebody was 70 years old, they'll still say it was too soon. So 70 years being too young, 50 years, 60 years too young, 20 years too young. If years is too young, that tells me I don't have the time, the minutes, the days to spend being anything but on the up and up with somebody that I'm supposed to love or care about or cherish, or I say I rock with you like this. But the second that something hits the fan, you know what I'm saying, we crumbling. And so we don't put all our business out in the streets. Life, I don't even like that he put that story about Miami out there, but understand that we gonna hold each other down. And it ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get somebody in your life, if you don't have them, that you can really lean on and say, yo, I'm not good. Men, we need this in our life. And last but not least, bro, the biggest reason as we continue to turn this corner, we're seeing more and more single mothers having to raise boys into men. And because of that, they're seeing a lot of the attributes of their mother and how she handled certain situations. And men and women are different. Men handle a situation different than a woman. It's not saying good or better. We're just different. But if the attributes or the problem solving for this boy should be this way, but he's influenced by you another way, now you start to see teenage boys that are, you can't say nothing to them because they're going to take off and go on 10, because they're going to exhibit the same attributes of the person that they seen raise them. This is where their behavior is coming from. And this can also be bad the same way if they're around a man that is of ill temperament and they pop off stupid quick. So again, stay with me. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? It's still apples at the end.
Do your thing.
So you have this child that's exhibiting these ways, and in all honesty, if you want to get to a point before you wild out and do something stupid with your life, if you that mad, man, go somewhere that's just you, man, and just go ahead and do that angry cry. Take 60 seconds, man, and go ahead and cry. Because I can promise you, when you get those emotions out the way, it's just like when you was a little kid and you cry, you feel me? And as soon as you're done crying, what you do? You take that deep breath, that sigh, right?
And continue on.
And now you can process things with your mind. Your emotions are out of the way, and now you can process what to. That is what will keep a lot of the grief from even being a part of our life. Think before we react. Go on and get that cry out. It don't make you less of a man. Link up with other men. Link up with people that's going to help you get through whatever you need to in life. You know what I'm saying? Get with folks that's going to help you get through. Broham, you know what it is. I'm D to the J. You see the title. You see the logo. Shout out to heaven. It's still a G thing every day of the week.
So check it out. I know it's 9:08. We're going to stay on probably to about 9:15. We got a few listeners, a few watchers rather. If you got any comments, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Throw them in the chat. We'll throw them on there. If there's a discussion needed, you know what I'm saying? Let us know while we're waiting, if there be any.
Yeah.
Man,
I mean, I got my life back.
The show. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Bro, wow.
All right, because life,
my life be life in podcast life when I had to get my stuff right.
I'm like,
bro, I had to get my life.
Again, y'all.
My mic sound nice. Quick. Bro, my mic sound nice.
This is the season opener. We're talking about grief. We see that y'all watching on Facebook, on YouTube. If you got any comments, go ahead and throw them in there real quick. While we're waiting.
Yeah.
Bro, next week, we talking about mental landmines, right?
Mental landmines. If this world were mine. Hey, the war of the mind, mental landmines is going down.
Yeah. I really think it's wild nowadays, man, that my daughter, my 20-year-old, she made a very important point while we were having dinner last night.
Yeah.
And she was saying just like nowadays young people, they hang around each other. It ain't the young folks either. It ain't only young folks, let me say that. But they hang around each other and they go back and tell each other business to somebody else. And I really feel like that in this day and age, that is one reason why people don't open up to people and show their grief, show what's going on.
Yep.
And then, while you were talking, man, one of the things that I thought about is many times we can't grieve properly because we got to get back to business. Most jobs give you 2 days, maybe 3 days. Yep. And that's if you're lucky.
Yeah.
After that third day, hey, shut up and get back to work.
You gotta figure out how to do it. Like to your point, not to cut you off, man. I could not be there for my family when everything first happened. You know what I'm saying? I can't even be there for it because services ain't even planned out. And I know I got to double back for that. So through the most important part of, I guess you could say, that grieving stage, you can't be there. Yeah. And then you got to hurry up and get back and go to work.
Yeah. And I just really think it's wild, man. And we don't really take a step back and really look at the pressures that are on
Yeah,
us when we're dealing with grief. And it kind of feels like at times that we never get over grief.
yeah,
We maybe get past it because of timing. Up, let me put my grief in this compartment
yeah,
because I'm trying to get this promotion.
yeah.
Oh,
Facts.
let me put my grief here because my daughter and my son got a basketball game. Oh, let me put my grief here because my anniversary is coming up. Oh, let me put my grief here because the holidays are coming up.
Yeah. So you just shuffling it around like literally what you
Yeah.
just did. Yeah,
So the main thing that we're saying, y'all, and I see that there are no comments, so you know what I'm saying, we about to do our thing. But the main
yeah,
thing that we're saying, we know it's hard. The holidays just passed. And I'm gonna share these two memories. Give me a minute and I'm gonna do my soapbox all in it, bro. Me and my cousin Nick. My cousin Nick, man, you know, he was pretty much the only cousin that I grew up all the way around. Got a couple other cousins, but Nick was that one.
yeah.
We would sit back reminiscing, and we had this uncle, Uncle Penny. And Uncle Penny, you know what I'm saying, he had a drinking problem. And I swear, every holiday that we would go over to his house over on Euclid, you know, everything would start off cool. They playing that music. We all up on the third floor, the kids, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, playing pool or whatever, watching TV. Swear, 8 o'clock that night, Uncle Penny saucy. He done got his blicky and he putting everybody
yeah,
out the crib.
yeah,
And you know, as a young kid, you was like, hey, he crazy. But when you as an adult and you sit back and you look at the
yeah.
things that he went through, he lost a wife in a house fire.
Yep.
They didn't recover her body. They recovered what they thought was his body, was her body. You look at it, the grief that he was going through, but you also look at it like, yo, I miss him.
Yeah,
The holidays came and went. I miss him. Sitting around listening to Christmas music, and I can literally smell the apples and the oranges and the candy that Mama got out, but she not here.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is, y'all, you'll probably never totally get over grief,
Nah.
but you got to manage it in doses.
Yeah, big facts.
Because, and the last thing is, nobody can tell you how to grieve,
True story.
but make sure you are doing yourself a service and grieving properly.
Yeah.
You got anything, bro?
Hey man, and understand it's okay to grieve. You can't stay there though. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a season to mourn, but you know what I'm saying? You gonna have your days. Don't let your days linger. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it get dark.
Yeah.
Don't let your mind try to make you something that you not. You was always an upbeat, bubbly person. Don't let it try to get wicked because it'll talk to you, bro. It'll be like, man, I'm gonna go into this corner and you know what I'm saying? You know my brain spot. Anytime everything is Kruger, you know it's getting dark. You know that boy's rocker is almost that mug. Hey, you ever seen the rocker chair? And they got that mug. Yeah, so
all the way using the whole arch.
So, hey, way to kick off episode 1, man. Season 5, we back at it live and direct. Like we said, join us and tap in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard. Bro, you already know what it is. That topic gonna be heat. Mental landmines. So set them alerts, tell a friend, tell a neighbor that the best duo since Rings and Rants is back in the building. Bro, drop them bombs, man, and let's get them up out here. Give them what they've been missing, man.
They've been waiting on. Hey, like Russell Simmons always used to do, because life go keep on lifing, and we're gonna be here to talk about it. I'm your host, Tony D.
Yes, sir. And I'm your host, D to the J. Still in the building like I ain't never left. It's still a G thing.
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tap in with your boy, your host, Tony D. D to the J, every Wednesday, Life Be Life and Podcast. And you know,